Hello there, Paribus Nation. Welcome back to the Dapp Central YouTube channel. I'm your host here for Reed, and in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about Paribus and the fact that they're finally ready for their mainnet launch. Now, it's been quite a while that the community has been patiently waiting, as we've seen a successful audit with Twig, as well as a recently successful audit with the Hacken Club. And so what I want to do as a part of today's video is jump into talk a little bit about what Paribus is, as well as what we can expect within the next 7 days. Now, if it's your first time hearing about Paribus, they're going to be a lending and borrowing protocol, which initially launched on Ethereum, but they will be multi-chain, adopting the Cardano blockchain as well, focusing specifically on synthetics and NFTs. Now, looking at the actual website here, which is at paribus.io, you will be able to leverage the protocol for things such as smart contract insurance policies, music, crypto collectibles, and domain names. If I continue to move down a little bit more throughout their actual website, we can see that you'll also be able to lend, borrow, or stake synthetic assets, take advantage of PBX token profit sharing, as well as being able to use NFT collateral-based loans. So those are some of the key highlights coming to Paribus and what they're actually going to be building across the actual crypto space. Having said that, I recently did interview Dennis, who is going to be the CEO of the Paribus protocol, in which we talked about their 2023 roadmap. As a part of that discussion, we highlighted what the actual Paribus team will be doing as far as their MVP goes and the release and scheduling around that. We also talked about VPBX and the integration of NFTs and their metaverse land. So I highly recommend that you guys go ahead and check out that particular interview, as it gives a ton of detail surrounding the next steps for Paribus. Now, what I want to talk about is going to be the Hacken audit and the fact that this has now been completed. If you guys have been following this particular protocol, they actually delayed the MVP release, which was supposed to be on January 31st of 2023 due to a few items that they wanted to update and clean up in preparation for their mainnet launch. I do commend the team for taking this slow and methodical approach instead of rushing to get a product out to mainnet. Now, if you do want to also play and get a feel for what Paribus is bringing to this space, they are right now live on the Ethereum Girly testnet. All you need to do is go ahead and switch over to that testnet, grab a few of the test tokens, and you can actually go ahead and lend and borrow, as well as liquidate, and just kind of see exactly how this protocol is going to function. Jumping back over here into the audit, code audit, it states here that the Hacken audit has officially been completed. Again, the community has been waiting quite patiently for this announcement here. So it reads, "We are pleased to announce the successful conclusion of the Hacken Club audit." As I mentioned before, this is going to be the second audit that has taken place now for the Paribus code. The first was completed by Twig, I believe, towards the latter end of 2022, and this is now going to be their second audit being completed by the Hacken Club. Now, what they're actually going to be auditing are going to be their EVM smart contracts. Number one, to make sure that there's no critical or main issues with the actual smart contracts themselves. And then number two, making sure that they adhere to current development standards and that they're well documented. It continues to read, as a part of the tweet here, "This extremely important step in securing the code allows us to proceed with the Paribus mainnet version 1. Now, the first version, or version 1, will strictly be focusing on lending and borrowing of tokenized assets, or just tokens, I should say, not necessarily non-fungible tokens or NFTs. So do keep in mind that when we do see this protocol officially launch, we won't see any integration of the metaverse lands or the NFTs just yet, but that will be coming down the pipelines here, as stated on their roadmap. Now, I want to briefly jump over here into a separate article that was released on March 3rd, so a little bit before the actual audit was completed, but this was basically just stating a few of the reasons why they're taking this slow and methodical approach. And so what I want to do is just briefly read 3 of these snippets here, and then we're going to move along to take a brief look at their roadmap. We're going to take a look at their price action, and then we're going to jump straight into the actual audit report. So as a part of the path to mainnet, it states, "Over the past few weeks, our development team has been working hard to bring the Paribus MVP to the mainnet. Firstly, it's important to note that everyone involved with Paribus is eager to launch on mainnet as soon as possible." So the team themselves are ready as well for the mainnet launch. It's not just the community, but as they previously stated, they want to make sure that they do this correctly and that they don't want to have any issues after the mainnet launch, because once this is live, it's really hard to kind of walk that back, especially once you've lost trust and reputation in the community. The last bit I want to read here is that it states there isn't anything fundamentally wrong with the MVP itself. Many of the areas we're working on are refinements to issues such as documentation and agreed upon practices. And so it seems like the smart contracts themselves don't have any issues, but as I mentioned before, they're working on some minor tweaks, including things like documentation and best practices. If I quickly jump over here into their roadmap, we can see that their MVP is going to be their first priority right now, followed by their governance platform labeled VPBX, followed by the integration of NFTs, which I believe will be as a part of V2 of the Paribus MVP, which will be on the mainnet by then. And then we're going to see institutional growth and adoption through what they're going to be calling Paribus Pro. Again, check out that interview with myself and Dennis for more information surrounding Paribus Pro. Very lastly, we're going to see the integration of metaverse land. So that's really when we're going to start to see a lot of those exotic assets and a lot of the functionality for Paribus coming alive. Moving straight over into the price action here. As you guys know, this is not necessarily a channel that focuses on price action, but I did want to note that we have seen a lot of crazy price action here as a part of these announcements surrounding the mainnet. If we take a look here at the last 3 months, this was prior to the first mainnet announcement. Again, we saw the price almost double or triple up until that January timeline. After the actual announcement of the minor delay, we kind of saw a sell-off in the price all the way up until about this past week, in which we just released, or just received, I should say, the Hacken code audit completion. Since then, over the course of the last 2 days, the price has really just kind of doubled again, seeing most recently a 35% increase. So keep an eye on the price of the Paribus token. It does seem to be moving quite quickly here over the course of the last few hours. Next, I want to jump straight into the actual Hacken code audit to take a look at this here with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to this PDF down in the description below. It is available within the actual Paribus official Discord. If you guys are not already there, I recommend you guys go ahead and join. The team does a really good job of being present there, and they also answer all of your questions. So as we can see here, they've got 4 different bits of criteria when it comes to the severity of issues found as a part of the code audit. So number 1, we've got low, which are basically things that are not too important, but you do eventually want to get to them, followed by medium. And these can basically lead to some issues, but again, it's not anything that's critical, followed by things that are labeled as high, where it states here high vulnerabilities are usually harder to exploit, requiring specific conditions. And then very lastly, we've got critical issues, where it states critical vulnerabilities are usually straightforward to exploit and can lead to the loss of user funds and or internal contract state manipulation by external or internal actors. So the really big key here is going to be focusing on the critical issues as well as the high issues. And I think that moving forward, the team can always come back and kind of squash any of the medium or lower risk issues. Now, if you scroll down here, I'm going to just try to kind of quickly cut through this here. It states that their documentation quality received a score of 10 out of 10, while their code quality received a score of 9 out of 10. So 2 really, really good bits there. I'm excited to see that both of those are scoring within the really high percentile, almost close to perfect there in both categories. In terms of test coverage, the team could do a little bit better. Their code coverage got a score of 71%. If you don't understand, or if you don't know what code coverage is or test coverage is, this is basically the amount of tests that they have in place to basically go ahead and confirm that their application is working right. So as the team continues to push out updates, you would expect that they run regression tests, smoke tests, negative tests, just to make sure that everything is working as expected. And so it does look like they can improve here a little bit, but 71 is still a passing grade nonetheless. If you were to translate this to school grade, this would be about a C. And so scrolling down a little bit further, we've got a security score of 10 out of 10. So this is a perfect here. And as a result of the audit, the code contains 1 low severity issue. So really good progress there, as we can see here on January 29th, which was about 2 days before the actual mainnet launch, which was first agreed upon. They had a total of 12 low priority issues, followed by 3 medium and 4 high. After that, they had a second round of reviews where that number of low issues went from 12 to 3, medium went from 3 to 2, high went from 4 to 1. And then as a part of their latest audit, we now have 0 as a part of medium, high, and critical. We never had any critical throughout this entire process, which gives me a lot more confidence surrounding the Paribus protocol and the development of their EVM smart contracts. Very lastly, all we have now is 1 low priority issue as a part of March 13th latest code audit. Again, their final score is going to be an 8.7 out of 10, which is really good here. Again, translating this to traditional grading school, this would be anywhere between a B+ and an A-. So I'm excited for this. It seems like the protocol is going to be secure, with very minor updates to be made here in terms of low-level security risks. If we scroll down, we've got a little bit more here when it comes to some of the actual smart contracts and whether or not they've got a passed, fail, or not relevant status. But again, this does get a little bit in the weeds here, so I'm going to save you guys a little bit of time. That's going to be it there for the review for the actual contract, or for the actual Hacken code audit and all the smart contracts that they recently reviewed. The last thing I want to touch on is going to be the fact that the team has gone through another deflationary period. If you guys are not familiar or aware, the Paribus protocol is aiming to be a deflationary platform, and as they begin to actually roll out on the mainnet and as they begin to generate fees throughout the actual use of the platform, they will be burning some of their tokens, therefore driving the scarcity of the entire token or the entire supply. And so I've been following these burns here pretty closely, and it basically states here that as a part of the month of March, right, this article was published on March 3rd, there has been an amount of 48 million of the PBX tokens, which will be burned as a part of this latest deflationary cycle, which equals $89,000. They've got a link here to Etherscan, which I'm going to go ahead and navigate to. And as you guys can see, this took place about 14 days ago here. And this has been confirmed on the Ethereum network. So this is confirmed. This is verifiable by anybody here, as long as you have this address, which I'll leave down in the description below. That said, we can see exactly what was associated here. And so we've got from the Paribus ecosystem wallet, we've sent over to the null or the burn address 48 million of the Paribus tokens, which equals now about $97,000. So keep in mind that as the price or the value of Paribus tokens, or of the Paribus token, fluctuates, that this value will change. But at the time that they actually shot this article or wrote this article, that was worth about $89,000. That is going to bring us to a close for today's update here, again on the Paribus protocol. I hope you guys found this to be helpful. I'm excited here for the Hacken code audit and the fact that it's now officially completed. I hope that you guys are too. If you guys want to find out more about Paribus, make sure to head over into my dedicated playlist. I've got one there on the actual channel highlighting how to actually go ahead and use the testnet, the recent interviews with Dennis, and I actually was able to catch them as well as a part of Rare Bloom in 2022. That is going to do it for me in today's video here, covering the recent updates surrounding Paribus. I hope you guys are ready for the mainnet launch. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you guys appreciate this type of content, consider subscribing, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.